Alright, what's up guys, it's Baltic here, and today I'm bringing you a video on my opinions on the different guns and maps within Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Now for gameplay, I will be using some Modern Warfare gameplay that I captured. I believe in this game I used the Odin, which was one of the later assault rifles that you unlocked, and I'll have some interesting thoughts about that one. So I suppose I might as well start off with the guns and specifically the assault rifles. Okay, so start off with the M4. So the M4 I actually didn't use very much. I did level it up a bit, but not a whole lot. I definitely didn't even get close to fully leveling it up. I know most people, at least in my experience, most people from the beta did use the M4. I don't know, wasn't a big fan of it. It's not that it was bad or anything, just not what I personally enjoy. It basically has a kind of, it's medium all around. You know, medium damage, medium fire rate. Everything is just kind of very standard. So that's basically all I have to say about that, because as I said, I didn't use it very much. So on to the next weapon. So the next weapon I'll be talking about is the AK-47, and to be honest, I'm a bit disappointed, because in most games, just in general, but especially Call of Duty games, I love AKs. I pretty much have always loved the AKs. You know, Black Ops 1 AK was phenomenal. Modern Warfare 3 AK I actually loved a lot, especially since not many people used it. And I was almost kind of expecting the AK to be like Modern Warfare 3, where, you know, high damage, low rate of fire, high recoil. But it really wasn't. I don't know what it was about it, but I honestly didn't like it that much. I think, personally, I would have preferred a bit more damage and a bit less fire rate. As I said, a bit more like the Modern Warfare 3. You know, I did level it up quite a bit. I can't remember whether I fully leveled it. I think I may have. But yeah, I mean, overall, it was decent. I didn't hate it, or whatever. I enjoyed the gun, but honestly, it's not one of my main guns, and it's not going to be a gun that I'm going to use very often once the full game comes out in a few weeks' time. So next gun I will move on to is the M13. So the M13 I loved. I mean, this was phenomenal. This was an amazing gun. In my opinion, it even in looks is very similar to the M4, and in performance is very similar to the M4. Now, don't quote me on this. I don't know any of the statistics or anything like that, but from what I felt, it seems like the M13 maybe did a bit more damage and had a bit less fire rate than the M4. But other than that, the M4 and the M13 were very similar. So yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say. I quite enjoyed using it. I fully leveled it. I believe that was the first gun that I fully leveled up to 30 or whatever it was. Yeah, just very nice. The attachments worked really well. Like it's a great weapon, even stock, but once you put attachments on it, it's even better. All right, so the next weapon I will be talking about is the FR56. So this is the 3-round burst assault rifle that is on one of the stock classes. I did not fully level up this gun. However, I did actually quite enjoy it. It was a one burst kill. So if you manage to get all 3 bullets from the burst onto an enemy, most of the time it would kill them. Yeah. I mean, there's not much to say. It's a 3-round burst assault rifle, so it performs kind of like you would expect a 3-round burst assault rifle to perform. If you're accurate enough and you have the right attachments on, it is a phenomenal weapon. If you have that pinpoint accuracy and you can get all 3 shots onto your target, then you will absolutely melt people with this gun. And I would recommend on guns like this, You know, burst guns or semi-auto guns, I pretty much always recommend some form of an optic, just because you need a lot more accuracy than you do with, you know, fully auto weapon. Alright, so the next gun I will talk about is the gun that I'm using in this gameplay, the Odin. Now, the Odin, this, I honestly wasn't expecting to like it that much when I saw it. I was like, this looks a bit weird. Like, as in, it performs completely differently to what my expectations of it were. The Odin is basically what I expected the AK to perform like. The Odin has an extremely slow rate of fire. Like, we're talking slower than the LMGs. Like I don't know about the L85, but definitely way slower than the M91. Very slow rate of fire, quite high damage. I don't know how many shots to kill. I'd say probably maybe 3. Again, don't quote me on it. I don't have the stats. But yeah, I highly enjoyed this weapon. Like I said, this is what I expected the AK to be similar to. Now, this is a bit more than what I would have expected the AK to be like. So on to the SMGs. So the MP5 I absolutely loved. I don't know, it probably was my favorite SMG. Just kind of, it's just great. It had high damage, decent fire rate. Especially once you, I mean, again, it's one of those weapons that even stock, it was really good, but especially once you upgrade it and got, you know, a couple of things on there, it just becomes a beast. You know, it's a really good weapon for using a suppressor if you're going in night vision mode or something like that, in the night vision game mode. And especially once you start getting into those, I mean, this applies to all weapons, but once you start getting into those higher rank kind of attachments, then the guns start to kind of show their true colors. So one of the best attachments, in my opinion, for the MP5 was the 10mm rounds, which made it stronger and just better. Not much more to say on that. I just absolutely loved it. So the next SMG that I'll talk about is the MP7. You know, I'm a bit indifferent about it. It's a good weapon for sure, and I did see quite a few people using it as well. Personally, though, I don't enjoy it. Again, you know, for me, I like weapons that do a lot of damage but are slower fire rate. The MP7 is certainly not that. It has an incredibly high rate of fire and quite little recoil, like very little recoil, and not much damage. I could compare it to the Modern Warfare 3 MP7, but in Modern Warfare 3 it was definitely overpowered. In this game, I don't think, honestly, I don't think any weapon from the beta it was really that overpowered. Some people did say the M4, but like I said, I can't really say because I didn't use it. But if there's any weapon that I would say comes close to being overpowered, it would probably be the next weapon that I'm going to be talking about. It's the AUG, or the AUG if you prefer. Yeah, this weapon I loved. I absolutely loved this weapon. This is literally, I one of my friends described it as a pocket assault rifle, and they're not wrong. You have all the, you know, like running and all that kind of stats like an SMG, but man, it you can snipe people from across the map with this thing. Which I'm kind of surprised I enjoyed this weapon so much, because it isn't like what, you know, it isn't what I generally like. As I said, I prefer high damage, low fire rate. This is, again, another weapon that was quite a high fire rate and low damage. Although, if anything, I'd say this was probably a bit more medium. Medium fire rate, medium damage, probably closer. But yeah, I mean, it's great. You know, I absolutely loved it. This was one of the first weapons. I believe it might have been the second weapon that I upgraded fully. I just loved it. You know, again, another weapon that is just amazing off the bat, that you don't really need to do anything to, but because the option is there, you might as well do it, and this becomes an absolute monster of a weapon once you upgrade it. So I'll move on to the shotguns now. So The Model 680. Now, I didn't use the shotguns in general that much. However, the Model 680 I did use a little bit in on the second weekend, and I tried to use it on, you know, as it kind of as much as I could in the close range maps. Or we didn't really have like a full on close quarters map, I wouldn't say, but on what was that, Hackney Yard, I tried to use it quite often, and it was a really fun gun. It was very satisfying to use, very fun, and quite hard at the start, but once you get some of those upgrades, it's not too bad. Especially I can't remember what the exact name of the, I think it was a heavy barrel that they called it, but basically it increased the damage and damage per pellet and the range, which was a godsend, because you really do need that. Video games massively underrepresent the range, the real life range that that a shotgun has. Like I think I might have said this in a previous video before, but any like range pretty much that an SMG can hit in a video game is realistically what a shotgun would probably hit. So now let's move on to the 725, which is the Olympia. I pretty much didn't use this at all. The only times I used this was in the 2v2 mode, so I don't have much to say on it. Didn't really like it when I used it in the 2v2 mode. Wasn't interested in using it in multiplayer. Alright, so now I'll move on to the LMGs. So the M91 is the first one that you unlock, and it's a really nice LMG. Like, for an LMG, it performs very, very nicely. So actually here you can see gameplay of me using the Model 680 that I was just talking about in Hackney Yard. I don't think I have the attachment on it yet, the heavy barrel, but anyway. So funny thing with the M91, on my first weekend of the beta, I was doing really awful. I could not kill anyone for the life of me. I was trying out all different types of guns. I was trying out the M4, the M13. I couldn't seem to get a footing with any gun in particular at the time. And then I decided, for the heck of it, because I saw someone else using it, thought, yeah, whatever, I'll try the M91. And I absolutely melted people with this gun. I was talking about the I was talking about the AUG being a pocket assault rifle. This LMG is like a big assault rifle. It has quite a high rate of fire for, well, a decent enough rate of fire for an LMG, but it still has that nice punch and that kick from as an LMG should have. Now the SA87, I didn't use. I don't remember ever using it. I might have used it once or twice in 2v2 mode, but other than that, I didn't use it, so I cannot comment on that. So marksman rifles, EBR-14. So as I mentioned in my previous video briefly, the EBR-14 was it was a bit of an annoying weapon to use, to be honest. So I was really excited to use the marksman rifles to see what they were like, and the EBR-14 is awful when it's stock. Like, when you pick it up, it is genuinely awful. The iron sights aren't good. They cover up a lot of the screen. You have a lot of upward recoil, so if you miss your first shot, which, you know, if you miss your first shot, or even if you hit your first shot, it's going to be really hard to put on a second one. So this gun desperately needs an optic, and some other attachments as well. Again, to reduce that recoil, you want something to reduce that upward recoil. You need a good few attachments on it. You need to use this gun for quite a while until it becomes like actually somewhat enjoyable to use, which is unfortunate, because I was excited for the EBR-14, as it's called in this game, the M14. So on to the second marksman rifle, which is fitting because this is the Mark II Carbon. Well, that's the way I pronounce it. I know there's loads of arguments on the internet about whether it's pronounced, carbine. Of course, some people say it's pronounced carbine because the French for it is carabine, and then some people say it's pronounced whatever. I just pronounce it carbon, kind of like you'd pronounce carbon fiber. I don't know why I pronounce it that way. I just do. But anyways, onto the gun itself, the Mark II Carbon. Yeah, I really enjoyed this gun. I much preferred this gun over the EBR-14, even though it was a lever action. rifle, it was just really fun to use. I don't know, I was more accurate with it, and it was just more precise to me. It had a bit punchier. Yeah, I mean, even stock, like it was really nice. It has a real nice iron sights actually, but because it is not only a semi-auto weapon but a lever action weapon, highly recommend a an optic of some sort, you know, whether it's some ACOG or even just some kind of red dot. You know, you want to be precise with a weapon like that. So onto these sniper rifles. Of course, the only one we had access to was the AX50. I didn't snipe as much as I thought I would, but in my moderate experience, I suppose, of using the AX50, it was all right, I guess. I mean, I didn't particularly, you know, find it appealing. I didn't think it was a great sniper rifle, but you know, it wasn't a bad one either. It was just literally like middle of the park. It was okay. It was usable. And so that does it for the guns. So now I will talk about all of the maps that were in the beta. And I know I can't remember whether I cut it out of the of my previous video, but I did briefly mention some of the maps and what I thought about them. So I might come still, even now I don't know for sure whether you know, what my favorite map is, but I'd say by the end of the video I probably will know. Let's talk about the maps. So the first map we'll talk about is Azure Cave. Of course there's a day and a night version of this map. So for the first weekend, this map was absolutely awful. Like, it was actually abysmal. The reason being that people in the first weekend just did nothing but camp inside the caves, and the caves lead out. The cave has 3 entrances. It has more than that, but the main 3 entrances are basically at A, at C, and in mid. So it was, you can basically, if you control the caves, you can control the match and the way it goes, because you can just, it's really... I found that in this game, whenever you walk into, especially in the cave map, whenever you walk into the caves themselves, it's a bit disorienting, especially from mid. It's really hard to see enemies. The night map plays completely differently. Well, actually, even later on, then once they added in the minimap, don't know why that made any difference, but once they added in the minimap, people kind of stopped camping there. There were still 1 or 2 people camping every now and again, but whatever. It wasn't a big deal. Yeah, people started using the other lanes, and overall it's quite a fun map. Out of the night maps, I think it definitely is my favorite. It plays completely differently. People play a lot slower, a lot more deliberate, and it's just a really fun map to play night mode on. So the next map is Hackney Yard, which is what you're seeing gameplay of right now with this model 680. So this is out of all the maps, this is probably the most close range, but it's still, I wouldn't like, it's the most close range out of all the maps we got, but I still wouldn't say it is a close range map, because even in the buildings, it's apart from maybe that one warehouse to the right of the map if you're spawning at A. Basically it's still quite long range. You can still easily use an assault rifle. As for the best type of weapon to use on this map, probably an SMG. For Azure Cave, I'd say, you know, SMG, or, well, actually with Azure Cave you can kind of use anything. Assault rifle is what I'd probably recommend, but you could easily use a sniper in the cave and all sorts of things. Yeah, so again, Hackney Yard, day and night map. Night map I did not like at all. The night version, I don't know why, I just didn't have fun with it. Day map is decent, and I did definitely start liking it a lot more once I started using the shotgun with it. It wasn't easy to use the shotgun, but you know, it got the job done. The next map that I will be talking about is Grozna Raid, or I suppose probably it might be pronounced correctly, Groznia Raid, maybe. I'm not 100% sure, but This is the big like 10v10 map that was in the game. So this map I'm a bit indifferent about. We only had a day map, a day version of it. Again, I don't know what to think of this map. It's I mean, it has some long lines of sight, so it could be decent enough for snipers, but particularly, I didn't particularly like the map in general. It's hard to use SMGs on it unless you're playing in objective mode. It's I don't know. It's too like long-sighted. Like, you go on either literally any lane and you can just snipe people from across the map, and I just don't really like that. I don't think it's a good design, and just in general, I don't really like the map. So next one the next map I'll be talking about is Gunrunner. So Gunrunner is the train yard. Now, when this map was originally released, I remember saying to my friends, "Oh, this is my favorite map now, 100%." Yeah, that it was for, I don't know, a few matches, and then I really didn't like it at all. I don't know what it is about it. Functionally, it's quite good, and I like, I do quite well in it more often than not, but there's just something about the flow and the way people move around the maps, and where they move. It's a bit strange to me. I don't know what it is. I can't really put into words, what is weird about it, but it's just kind of, something is off about it, and I don't like it. But overall, it's a decent map. I'd say I definitely prefer it over Grozno Raid. But it popped up quite often during the second weekend, and so it got a little bit boring, a bit tedious. So on to the massive ground war map. So this was the 32v32 or some mode map. So it was the Karst River Quarry. So I played maybe 2 games of ground war. Didn't play too much of it. I mean, okay, so it was fun, but it's not something I'd want to play all the time. This map obviously is very big. There's vehicles, stuff like that, but everyone just kind of goes to the center, and there's literally massive, like, you got people on the roofs and everything. It's just chaos. It's utter chaos, which, like I said, is fun, but overall I don't think it's that great for the long term. I think people will get bored of it probably pretty quickly, as I did. So on to the 2v2 maps. So King was the basically the warehouse map, where you're in the warehouse and you got all the wood panels. Honestly, didn't like it as much. Didn't like it too much. Again, you can kind of snipe people from one end to the other, and that's one of the things that I don't really like in general about the 2v2 maps. It's like, you take a step to the left or the right in pretty much any of the modes, and you can easily get sniped. And I think it shouldn't be like that. I think the map should be designed in a way to where you have to, like, actually move some amount before you can actually properly be seen. Whereas here it's like, you want to go over to the container on the left, well, you can get sniped because someone could just be watching it straight from their spawn. I don't like that. I think something more should be there. So I mean, that's all I really have to say about that. I don't really like the map King in general, even as a 2v2 map. Pine is the forest map, the luscious green, nice bit of color into the game. It was decent. It was all right. I mean, all the maps have the same problem with that. That I was just talking about, but this one I don't think is as much affected by it, and in general I do prefer this map a bit more than King. And the final map is Stack, which I don't actually remember playing. I don't know what it was, but I never got into a game on Stack, so I actually haven't played the map Stack, so I can't comment on it. I've seen a bit of gameplay on it, but seeing and playing are two completely different things, so I just don't want to comment on it. Again, these are all my personal opinions, so there's no point in me commenting on what I've seen if I haven't actually personally experienced it. So probably to finish up the video a little bit, I might talk about just some other random things that I might have seen, or little features, little tidbits here and there. So one of the things you can do now in this game, I've noticed, is you can reload while aiming down sights. It's not that, it's not that helpful. I'm sure people will find a way to use it in an effective way, but I probably won't be using it that much. Some of the equipment that's used, I suppose I could talk about some of the equipment that's used. Mostly I ran frags and concussions to start off. I tried Semtex for a little bit, did not like it at all. I think they should increase the range that you can throw it, because it's very small range, and just in general for AR grenades, I think you should be able to throw them a bit farther than you can. Not by much, literally a small bit, but then I switched, so I went back to the frags then later, after using the Semtex for a little bit, and I used the sensor grenades on some of my classes, and others I used the gas grenade. So sensor grenade, you throw it, it highlights an enemy even behind walls. So it can be helpful, especially in something like a cyber attack or S&D, when they add that into the game. I think it could be really good. You can detect enemies and stuff like that. The gas grenade is very similar. You throw it into a room, you can try and get people out of it, say if you're playing headquarters, or you can protect a choke point with it as well to try and stop enemies from coming in, and you'll know when they come in. So actually here you see me use the sensor grenade right there. So I think both gas and sensor grenades would be really good for objective game modes like that, where you have as I said, like a single life or whatever. Other than that, I mean, there's not really much else to talk about. I suppose I might as well talk about the field upgrades. So as I suspected, most of them are pretty fine. They're okay. They're decent enough. I don't have any complaints about them, to be honest. Ammo, great. Some of the other ones as well. Stopping power, I used. Funny enough, I used quite a lot, but I never really actually used it. I had it on my classes, but I rarely ever used it. I think I've only even got one. I think I only got like one kill with the stopping power rounds. But recon drone was very nice. I love that they didn't have the recon drone as a kill streak. They had it as a field upgrade, but that is fine by me because I absolutely love the recon drone in Modern Warfare 3, and I love it in this game. I'm kind of a support kind of player myself. But anyways, with that being said, I think I'm gonna finish up this video here. So if you don't follow me on, so if you'd like, you can subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on my streaming platforms, so YouTube, of course, Twitch and Mixer. All of them have our Baltic Gaming _. You can follow me on Twitter as well, where I let you know when I'm streaming at Baltic Gaming _. But anyways, with that being said, thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and I hope you enjoyed it.